Hey, everybody, welcome to Before the Hammer Strikes. I'm Bjorn Johnson, General Manager at TraVek. Today we've got a great guest, Stephanie Pressler from Scottsdale area, Experience Scottsdale. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do for Experience Scottsdale and give us some background?
Yeah, so I'm the Director of Community and Government Affairs for Experience Scottsdale. We are a nonprofit private company known as a Destination Marketing Organization, or a DMO for short, is usually easier to remember.
Okay.
And
Nobody's
our
ever going to remember that, by the way.
yes,
DMO is way easier to
DMO is
remember.
way easier to
Great.
remember. And really, our role is to promote travel and tourism to Scottsdale. So we partner with the city of Scottsdale and both the town of Paradise Valley to do that.
Cool. Well, we're excited to have you on. Our
Thank
audience,
you.
we have a different number of people that, whether they're homeowners or business owners, but most of them live here in the local area. We've probably got some from around the country, and that's okay. You guys can learn a little bit about who we are. So we're excited to have you on the show. Before we jump into kind of Experience Scottsdale and we get into some of the cool things that are happening in our city, tell me about you. Are you from Arizona?
I'm originally from Connecticut, but my family moved out here when I was in high school.
Okay.
So I've been out here for 20 years now.
Wow.
And ended up going to Arizona State University
Okay.
and sticking around. Yeah.
Awesome. So family came out here when you were high schoolish, is that
Yes,
what you said?
yeah.
And then you went to ASU.
Yes.
Did you go from ASU straight over into Experience Scottsdale, or what's your career path look like?
So I actually studied journalism at ASU. I went to the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, and I started my career at the Arizona Republic. I was
Okay.
on the editorial board of the Arizona Republic. And then I ended up having this opportunity at Experience Scottsdale, and so moved over there. I started out on our communications team, which the communications team, my role was to work with travel writers, both national and international travel writers, to get them to help tell Scottsdale stories to their readers and viewers.
Yeah.
So I'd bring them out to Scottsdale, create these amazing itineraries so that they could experience all that Scottsdale has to offer, and then write about it for their magazine or newspaper
Yeah.
later. And then I ended up switching over to the Community and Government Affairs Department, which is a mighty department of two,
Okay.
and ended up doing that. And I've been in this role for about 8 years now.
Okay. Awesome. And you love it, I'm assuming?
I do.
Okay.
I've been with the organization for 11 years now, so it's a good place to be.
You know what's interesting? Anytime I ever talk to somebody who's involved in Scottsdale, whether it's city government, whether they've been with Experience Scottsdale previously, they just tend to have like this passion for Scottsdale.
Yes, absolutely. You have to. To
Yeah.
be in this role, you have
And
to.
it's not a bad thing. It's a great thing, actually.
Yes.
And I was talking to a friend of mine before I moved down here. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, and so was talking to him about, I'm moving down to that area. And he's like, "Oh, you're going to the Beverly Hills of Arizona." I thought, "Wow, that's an interesting way to look at that." But I think even around the country, everybody thinks of Scottsdale as this upper echelon of Arizona, and that there's wealth here, that there's progress here, but Scottsdale started out as this small little cowboy town, right? Like,
Yes.
how did we go from that to what everybody else throughout the country knows Scottsdale as? And is some of that still around? Do we still have some of that small town feel in Scottsdale?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, people first began traveling to Scottsdale in the late 1800s. And even then, it was viewed as this rejuvenating climate. So people came out here actually for tuberculosis camps that were located near Camelback Mountain.
Wow.
And they were coming here for the healing desert climate. And then later in the early 1900s, we traded in those medical camps for luxury guest inns and ranches. So the Ingleside Inn was one of our first that opened in the 1910s.
Wow.
So we've really been a destination since the early 1900s, and it's just continued to grow since then. In the 1940s, the Chamber of Commerce decided they actually wanted to actively draw tourists here. And so they helped come up with that slogan, the Westmost Western Town.
Right.
And they put up the Western facade in Old Town to draw those people that were seeing the American West in Western films and television shows, and they wanted to experience that. And they were saying, come to Scottsdale. And they started promoting Scottsdale even before we became incorporated as a city.
And that was back in 1940-ish?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay.
They began, I think their first ads were in 1947 or something like that. But
Wow.
Experience Scottsdale, we became an organization in 1987. And really
Okay.
since then, we've been the sole organization responsible for promoting the Scottsdale area as a luxury travel destination.
Right.
And so in the 80s is when you saw more of like the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess open, a lot of our luxury resort properties open that are still around today and are still renowned for their world-class offerings.
Yeah.
And so it's only continued to grow since then. And we've really helped our organization position Scottsdale as that luxury travel destination for both meetings, events, and leisure travel.
Okay. So I know there's an attraction, right, for other people from around the country that want to come to Scottsdale. And I think that Scottsdale's done a great job, and Experience Scottsdale is probably a big part of that to draw people into Scottsdale. Um, Something that I found really interesting is a lot of people that live in Arizona, like they do these staycations, and partially the most sought after location that they go to is a Scottsdale area, a luxury hotel in Scottsdale. What's the draw for somebody that already lives in Arizona to come to Scottsdale?
I think especially during the summer, staycations are huge. And that's because a lot of our hotels and resorts that, people are traveling across the country, across the globe to come to these resorts in Scottsdale. During the summer, their prices are way lower than they normally are.
Yeah.
And so it's a great time for people to experience those luxury offerings in their own backyard, to do a fancy staycation, to do a spa treatment, to have dinner at a resort. There's so much that, we made this place such a great place for visitors to come to, but it also makes a great place for residents to live
Yeah.
in. And so I think we are always encouraging people to be a tourist in your own backyard, because there's so many things to do. There's our special events. I mean, throughout the year, there's just so many opportunities for people to really experience what people are traveling across the world to come see
Yeah.
in Scottsdale.
So I want to touch on that just a little bit because we've got a lot of homeowners in our audience that listen to this podcast, and some of them, potentially are snowbirds that are leaving during the summertime, but others are here year round. So you mentioned that oftentimes in the summer when it gets hot, rates go down.
Yes.
Like, help our audience to understand, like, where should they be looking for? What should they be looking to do if they want to have a really fun time with their families and they're here in the heat? Like, what are the hot places for them to think about?
Well, I'm going to do a plug for Experience Scottsdale.
Okay.
ExperienceScottsdale.com. That's our website. And during the summer, we do a summer campaign where we are collecting all of the different rates and offerings that our hotels have, and we're curating that into our website so that people can go there and find everything that is available, really. And so they can click through, go to the resort, book their staycation right from our website.
Okay.
And we start promoting that around April and May, so people can be, and that's really, those offerings are happening May through Labor Day, really, is
Right.
because that's our summer season. That's a need time for our tourism industry.
Mhm.
And so, our industry is very seasonal, and our high season is January through March. That's when our we have all of those special events. The weather is perfect, and so we're seeing a lot of those visitors come out here.
Yeah.
And during the summer, it's a drop off, and it's a need time for these hospitality businesses that
Sure.
want to continue serving our community. And so they get those offers because we really want those locals to enjoy those.
Yeah. So I grew up in a really small town in Southern Oregon, and a neighboring city is a town called Ashland, Oregon. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Most people probably haven't. But in Ashland, Oregon, they have what's called the Shakespeare Festival, and people will come from all over the country to enjoy the Shakespeare Festival. I grew up there. My family grew up there. The entire time I was there, I never went to the Shakespeare Festival.
Oh, no.
Like, ever. I never went. And then I became an
That's a
adult.
shame.
I know, right? This is what I'm saying. And so this is kind of where I'm going with this. I think that when something is in our own backyard, we just take it for granted. And
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
people may come from all over the country to experience this really great thing, but we just never do it because it's right there and we hear about it and we just never really act on it. What advice can you give to people that live here, using my example, like what things in Scottsdale do we need to, I'm new here, so what things do we need to check out? What do we need to see? What do we need to embrace living here in the area?
I mean, there's so many opportunities, and it really depends on your interests, and you can find it in Scottsdale. And again, we are a resource for visitors, but we can just as easily be a resource for our locals. We have our website, which has business listings for all of the different hospitality businesses in our community. We have our annual visitor guide. That's a magazine that we come out with each January. It's free. You can request copies of that, just like our visitors do.
Yeah.
We have an email newsletter, a monthly email newsletter that you can sign up for, and we have one that's geared towards Arizona residents to really focus on those deals, especially for Arizona residents, because we're helping tell those stories every day, and we're telling them we're trying to bring visitors here, but we also want locals to enjoy all of those things
Yeah.
that Scottsdale has. So if you're a golfer, we have amazing golf courses. If you want rest and relaxation, we have all of those amazing resort spas.
Yeah.
Shopping is huge. I love going to Scottsdale Fashion Square. I'll probably go there after this podcast. But just wandering our old town and seeing the art galleries and all of the boutiques. If you are looking for culinary, we have world-class chefs that are here in Scottsdale, James Beard Award winners who are here in Scottsdale. I love all of the restaurants that we get to try. And I will say I lived in Scottsdale for several years before becoming a part of this organization. And I also wasn't really exploring Scottsdale. This job has really allowed me to experience all of those things that our community has to offer.
So the short answer is it doesn't matter what your taste is. There's something in Scottsdale
There's something for everyone. Yes.
you can enjoy.
Yeah.
So the holidays are coming up.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that there's probably holiday events and there's things that Scottsdale is doing. What should we know about with the holidays coming up? Are there special events happening? What's kind of the short list of things that we should check out?
Yes. Well, so right now, the fall and winter is really our shoulder season. So it's the time between our low summer season and our high season in January when we see those big events like Barrett-Jackson and the Phoenix Open come back.
Yep.
But this time of year, it's our shoulder season, but really the city has been activating it more and more. And there's been a lot more offerings that have been going on. So right now, as we're recording this, Canal Convergence is coming up next week. It's a big festival at the Arizona Canal right near Scottsdale Fashion Square at the waterfront. And there's all of these art installations, workshops, live performances. It's a really fun event. If you've probably seen it, there's these fire shows that they do along the canal.
Right.
Those are a big hit, and I believe it's 2 weeks long. There's that coming up, and then Scottsdazzle is the city's holiday extravaganza for Old Town.
Scottsdazzle?
Scottsdazzle.
Okay.
It's their holiday extravaganza. It's a month-long celebration. It kicks off with a tree lighting ceremony and a sing-along, again, at the Arizona Canal area, the waterfront area, and all throughout Old Town, all throughout the month. They have all of these different activations, live entertainment throughout Old Town. They have different events like the Peppermint Plaza, which all of these different peppermint-themed drinks that they're going to do. And again, there's so much to do. And then,
are these kid-friendly or are these family-friendly?
Yes, it's a range of ages. The city's website for that is scottsdazzle.com. But we also have a lot of our events on our own website, experiencescottsdale.com/events. You can find a lot of these things that are coming up. Christmas at the Princess is another big holiday event.
What is that?
That's at the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess.
Okay.
And I believe it's in its 15th year. And it is just this huge event that, Jack Miller, who's the general manager of the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess, this was his big idea that he had, and it has become not only for visitors a great experience, but a tradition for locals as well. They have a Ferris wheel, they have ice skating rinks, they have s'mores that you can do. It's just all of these different. They deck out the resort in Christmas lights everywhere, and it's such a fun event. They have a musical Christmas tree that will go through all of these different songs, and then they also do a big kickoff as well.
Oh, wow.
Where they have Santa come and do the tree lighting.
Okay, so those are just a few things to look out for.
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome. I love how, we're getting into the holiday season, and when the holidays come, everybody seems to rally and put on really great events and really cool things. So those are awesome to look for. Can I shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about what the city of Scottsdale means for businesses? We're a business here in Scottsdale. And you mentioned that there's some high seasons and low seasons because of the weather that we have, and whether that's snowbirds or the heat or whatever it may be. If I'm a business in Scottsdale and I'm looking to capitalize on what those seasons look like what's my best approach, whether I'm a new business or an established business and I'm in the Scottsdale area, how do I interact with the community or even with your organization to get the most traction out of the times that I might be a little slower?
So we are actually a membership-based business.
Okay.
We represent about 400 businesses in our community, and those are tourism-related businesses and hospitality businesses. And so if any business like that is looking to become a part of our organization, we'd be happy to welcome you into the fold. I think we're always trying to promote year-round visitation. Really, our role as an organization on our mission is to enhance the local community by promoting Scottsdale as a year-round luxury travel destination.
Yeah.
So even though our industry is seasonal, we're trying to get those visitors out here all year long. We have a
Sure.
summer campaign that's trying to bring those visitors who might be interested in experiencing a bit of the heat. We have our signature event season campaign to bring those visitors who want to come for the Phoenix Open, for the Arabian Horse Show, and things like that. And then we're promoting our fall as well with our Unwind in Scottsdale campaign that we just launched.
Yeah.
So we are trying to bring visitors out here all year long. But I think, become part of our organization. We're happy to share that information.
Yeah. So, and that's really great. I think there's an awesome avenue there, or a channel for business owners if they want to be aligned with you guys.
Yeah.
From a numbers standpoint, because I don't know the numbers, like what is the influx for businesses when it is peak season, peak tourism season, if you will? What's that time frame? Like when is peak season for tourism in Scottsdale?
So that's January through March is really
Okay.
our peak season. And that's when our hotels are experiencing their highest occupancy rates
Right.
during those 4 months. And really we're seeing the highest tax collections from our visitors. Our visitors generate they help alleviate the tax
Right.
benefit for our residents. They are generating about $74 million in annual tax collections for the city of
Wow.
Scottsdale. It's about 25% of the city's total privilege
And
tax
is that
collections.
predominantly in that high season?
A lot of it is. I think about 50% of those taxes are collected during that high season.
Wow,
At least
that's a lot.
for bed taxes. So bed taxes are
Sure.
the hotel tax.
Okay.
And that last year was about $37 million. Was
Jeez.
just from those taxes. It's a 5% rate on a hotel room, and
Right.
those tax dollars are being reinvested back into the community. The sales taxes, all of those are going into the city's general fund to support important transportation, public
Right.
services, police, fire. And then the bed tax is really reinvested back into the community, again, through the general fund, but also helping support those tourism driving events, helping, with capital projects that are tourism related, like Western Spirit, Scottsdale's
Right.
Museum of the West, that was funded by the bed tax.
Hmm.
Canal Convergence, Scottsdazzle, those are funded by the bed tax. And then they also help support our organization so that we can continue promoting Scottsdale
Right.
and getting those
Keep bringing
visitors out
people
here.
in.
Yes.
So what's the influx of actual people? Like,
Yes.
Again, me being new to the area, I can see it in the traffic, or I can see it, just in the hustle and bustle. But what's the actual influx of people during that time period? Do you know?
So during that specific time period, I don't have that breakdown, but annually we have 11.2 million visitors come to our community.
11.2 million visitors.
Yes.
And these aren't people that live here that are coming back for the wintertime. These are just
these are
true
true
tourists.
tourists that are coming out here
Wow.
throughout the year. So 11.2 million visitors. They generate an economic impact of $3.5 billion for the community.
And this is to
They're-
the Scottsdale area,
Yes,
or
just
all of
to
the Phoenix
Scottsdale.
Valley? Just to
Just
Scottsdale.
Scottsdale.
Jeez, wow.
Yeah.
So for a business owner, how do they capitalize on that? I mean, 11 million people, and you said 3.4 billion?
3.5 billion.
$3.5 billion.
Yes.
If I'm a growing business, or I'm a business owner in Scottsdale, I'm thinking, wow, I kind of want a piece of that pie. Like, how do they capitalize on that outside of being aligned with you guys, of course? But what are some insights you can give a business owner to say, here's the pie. There's
Yeah.
a big chunk of it. Like, is it only for the hotels? Is it only for the resorts?
No,
How do
our
other
visitors,
businesses interact?
they're going throughout our whole community, and visitors as well, like not just to Scottsdale. When visitors are coming here, they don't necessarily know when they're crossing
Right.
city lines.
Yeah.
So they might come out here and stay at a Scottsdale hotel, but go to a restaurant in Phoenix,
Sure.
or go to a museum in Phoenix, or they might go to somewhere in Tempe. So they don't necessarily know that, oh, I'm staying in Scottsdale, I need to only stay in Scottsdale.
That makes
So
sense.
there's benefits that are crossing over those city lines as well for businesses who are maybe outside of the Scottsdale area. But really, I think getting involved with the city as well. The city of Scottsdale has a tourism and events team. So they are putting on a lot of these big events. If you want to become a part of those events, they have opportunities like that. I think, the Scottsdale Stadium, when we have the Giant Spring Training here,
Yeah.
there's marketing opportunities around that where you can be marketing to people who are in the stadium and coming
Sure.
out here. And a lot of those visitors who are coming here, they spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
We are really targeting those luxury affluent visitors. So really just kind of getting in front of those visitors is going to be beneficial.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we reached out to Barrett Jackson, and we do some joint marketing there with Barrett
Yeah.
Jackson, just because it draws a lot of people, and we've been talking to them about different options there. So I think that's one opportunity within
Yeah.
anytime there's an event, right? But
Yeah, sponsorships,
sponsorships
or
are
even
those are available
setting up
for
booths at like the Arabian Horse Show or something like that. Again,
Yeah.
the Arabian Horse Show welcomes 300,000 people a year. So
Jeez.
that's, yeah.
Wow. So between that, Barrett-Jackson, the Open, like there's a pretty strong number of isolated people in one area. It
Yes.
seems like even just from events.
Mhm.
And then you add to that all the other tourism and luxury hotels and destinations. Huh. Interesting. So you've been doing this for a while. I'm assuming you've got recurring events that happen every year that you work on. What's Stephanie's favorite? Like, what is your favorite event that you work on or that you've participated in or that you've been a part of?
I mean, it's hard to say, but there's just so much. I think Canal Convergence is a really great event. Um, Christmas at the Princess is really fun, just focusing on those holiday time frames. The Phoenix Open is already really fun. They're doing a lot of improvements this year to make it an even better experience.
Yeah.
Spring training. I don't even like baseball that much, but going to a spring
So
training
you're just
game,
saying
it's
everything.
fun.
Just go to just
Yes,
experience
it's hard.
everything in
Yes,
Scottsdale.
yeah. I mean, we as an organization, we don't put on these events, but we're promoting them and we're helping promote them and we're helping getting visitors out here to experience them.
Yeah. Obviously, Scottsdale is an affluent area. It's a safe area. If there are listeners that are outside of our area and they're thinking, wow, I heard that and I kind of want to go visit Scottsdale, what advice can you give to them if they're coming from somewhere else in the country? Like, what are the do's and don'ts when they come to visit Scottsdale?
Well, I want to plug again, if request our visitor guide. We have you can chat with our staff online. They can provide recommendations. Our web chat is run by my colleague named Sunny. She's not AI. She's actually named Sunny. She's
That's
just
good to
very
know.
aptly named. So you'll likely chat with Sunny if you have questions about things to do. Also, we work a lot with travel advisors, travel agents. In our organization, we have a tourism team that's helping educate travel advisors on how to sell Scottsdale.
Right.
So we're giving them the best recommendations and things like that. So work with a travel advisor as well. They are likely going to know some of the best hotels, the restaurants, recommendations like that to experience Scottsdale.
So your biggest advice is don't do it on your own, but engage with somebody who is
Engage
either
with
here,
us. That's
you
why
guys,
we're here.
travel
a travel
agent.
Look for articles about Scottsdale because our PR team is likely behind a lot of those articles, giving those recommendations to writers. So
Okay.
yeah.
Anything that people should be aware of, or like beware of going in this area in Scottsdale, or anything that you communicate to listeners that you're like, stay away from this?
We are a very safe community, and that's when visitors are they want safety. They want to feel safe, and we're Old Town is very walkable. It's very safe. There's no parts of our community that need to be avoided. If you want to experience the desert, you can go more in North Scottsdale and be surrounded by the beauty of the desert at, say, the Four Seasons or something like that. Go and hike the McDowell-Sonoran Preserve. You can go shopping in Old Town. There's so much to do. There's nothing to avoid.
Nothing to avoid.
No,
okay, just experience it all and
Yes.
avoid. There's nothing really to avoid.
No.
Okay, that's great insight. I'm going to go back to the business side of things. Is Scottsdale saturated as far as lease space or open opportunities for, let's say I'm a new business and I'm starting up and I'm hearing this and I'm thinking, oh, wow, I got to be a part of that. If I go to Old Town Scottsdale, like I'm assuming that there's not a whole lot of space for me to set up shop. Is that accurate, or is there opportunity there?
I would recommend anyone who is questioning that reach out to the city's economic development team. They know about vacancy rates and things like that. They would be a great resource for that. But I mean, there's always new businesses opening up. There's new restaurants. There's new attractions opening up. There's new hotels and resorts that are opening up. Just in the past few years, we've seen the opening of Caesars Scottsdale Resort, Caesars Republic Scottsdale. We've seen Senna House Scottsdale, the Canopy Old Town Hilton. We have a few. The Remy is being built right now. There's many more so businesses are always opening up. So I think there's still lots of opportunity to get your foot in the door
find a spot
and get these benefits from all these visitors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up on the end of our time, and this has been awesome. Thank you for sharing everything that you have with us. I want to go back into the history a little bit. What's one of the most interesting facts about Scottsdale that you can share with people that you have in your brain that you've just learned through doing this? If you think back on historical, not Scottsdale today, but what's an interesting fact in history? And I'm kind of taking you by surprise here, so hope you don't mind.
Well, I think the tuberculosis camps is very interesting.
I didn't know that, by the way. I had no idea.
I also think, when tourism has really opened the door for other industries to come to Scottsdale. And so in the 1950s, the Hotel Valley Ho opened up. And Hotel Valley Ho is one of my favorite properties. I
Okay.
got married there.
Oh,
I
wow.
got married on the rooftop
So
there.
there's a
So
soft
it's
spot
one
in
of,
your heart
yes,
for
I
that.
love doing staycations there and going to their spa. But Hotel Valley Ho was it opened in the 1950s, and it was really like a hotbed for all of these celebrities who they were trying to escape all of the paparazzi in LA,
Yeah.
and they would drive far, and there wasn't a lot of freeway systems back then, so it would take them a while to get to Scottsdale, and that would be they would be off the grid basically
Right,
to come to
right.
Scottsdale. But Hotel Valley Ho was one of the first properties that had air conditioning, and
Oh,
so it
wow.
allowed them to stay open year round. And it really opened the door for us to again become that year-round travel destination where people could still enjoy coming out here during the summer.
Yeah.
But it also allowed for Motorola. They opened up in the 1950s as well, and a lot of their employees would stay at Hotel Valley Ho. And in fact, Motorola came out here. It was originally, I think, from Illinois or somewhere in the Midwest. But the owner of Motorola was a visitor here, and he fell in love with this destination, and he decided he was going to open Motorola.
Set up shop.
Yeah, and now that's where General Dynamics is. So
Wow.
it's really that opened the door for technology to come to Scottsdale. So it's kind of all tied
Interesting.
together. Yeah.
So everything just kind of loops into this tourism piece.
Yes,
and,
absolutely. People, that's something we found, especially like with our own research that we've done about our advertising and just how it creates this positive perception of Scottsdale, not only for visitors, but also for people who consider wanting to move here or open a business.
Yeah.
And we found that people who view our ads and have visited Scottsdale are about 85% more likely to view Scottsdale as a good place to start a business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, again, thank you so much. That was an
Yeah.
interesting fact. I have never even visited the Hotel Valley Ho, so now I got to look it up and I got
There's
to go
so
check
much
it out.
to explore.
So,
Use us as a resource.
I know. I'm going to jump online
Yes.
and I'm going to check you guys out. You guys heard from Stephanie where to find their organization. Sounds like they've got some really great resources. I'd encourage you, whether you live here, whether you're going to come visit here,
Please
if you have
come
a
visit.
business, check out their website. It's got some great resources. Again, thanks for joining us on Before the Hammer Strikes. This is a little bit outside of what we normally talk about, but because we're a Scottsdale business, and because a lot of you live here in the area and a lot of you may be coming to visit other Scottsdale businesses, this was really important. And so thanks for educating us on the city of Scottsdale.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Again, guys, thank you for always watching, and thanks for being a part of our podcast, Before the Hammer Strikes. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week on Before the Hammer Strikes.